There was a man, Norman Bartlett. He was a Canadian, and he had been a flyer in World War I. And after the war, he decided he wanted to get in this business, and he wanted to create something that gave the sense of flying. So he built this ride called Flying Turns. And it was a wooden chute, much like an Olympic bobsled or a luge track, and vehicles on casters, and you just swoop down and around in these turns. And they built about somewhere between 8 and 10 of them across the nation. I rode the one in Cleveland at Euclid Beach Park by probably about 1961, 62, and it was one of the few rides that ever gave me a thrill. Anyway, all of these rides, they eventually disappeared. Every one of them. Until one day in 2005, John Fetterman on our staff approached me and said, "Dick, we've recreated the Phoenix roller coaster, we've built the Twister, I think we should consider something different." And I think we should consider something different. We'll want to rebuild the Flying Turns. Everybody thought we were crazy. In fact, when we announced the ride in the fall of '05, I was attending an amusement park function in Rimini, Italy, and a gentleman from the Mach Corporation in Germany, he said, "Dick, you know you'll never get it." And I told him, "Yes, we will." John Fetterman had some plans for the Flying Turns ride in Riverview Park in Chicago. And we were able to get a vehicle that had been saved from the one in Euclid Beach in Ohio. However, the vehicle wouldn't meet the standards of today because of the need for redundancy and passenger envelope. So we had this firm in California to design a vehicle, only it didn't work. But we kept persevering, and then a gentleman by the name of Mike Boodley stepped into the picture. So he went back to the drawing boards and then designed the one that we have today. Our original aim was to have a 5-car train like they had originally, but we had difficulties with the 4th car, so we just said, well, 3 is better than 0. We also had some help from a fellow from New York, Joe Bonsignori. His family owned the Flying Turns ride at Coney Island in New York, and they called it the bobsleds. But it had originally been built for the New York World's Fair in 1939. And since that time, Joe has given us, for a display, one of his original bobsled cars from Coney Island. We have it in a weatherproof structure over at Flying Turns. Anyway, long story short, it took us 7.5 years. And the German guy I saw at that convention in Italy, 7.5 years later, I saw him at a convention in Orlando. When I went up to him, I said, "Kurt, you know, I told you we'd get it." And he humbly just says, "Congratulations," and walked away. Like I say, it's the only one in the world.